crowdsourcing of, so there's a group out of Los Angeles, the Orphan Secure. They do crowdsourcing of information from just you and I, people that are out there that have smartphones that are able to communicate in the just whatever they see, and they're able to compile that information together and start a case file for local law enforcement around the world. They just brought 100 kids out of trafficking in the Philippines, and they're prosecuting 5 corrupt cops over there. Good. Based on just what civil society communicated in. And in order, once that information is shared in there, because sometimes law enforcement has a hard time beginning to even start a case. But when you and I report in and say, here's what's going on, and they have that case file, they can actually take that and then follow up appropriately. So those are little things that you and I can do. I think also getting educated about the issue, understanding how the supply and demand works with the trafficking, with human trafficking around the world, understanding that that small things that we do make an effect, just even what we buy, the companies we support. I'll translate this to another area which you guys have covered well on INFOWARS, is the issue of genetically modified foods. Mm-hmm. As people are not buying certain products, those industries are continuing to lose ground. And we're seeing a strong push for real food and things that are good for people. So likewise, we all vote with our intentions. We vote with our time. We vote with wherever we put our resources. So it's telling people to become aware, become engaged on this particular issue, and be part of that solution. Even if it's a small way, we can all do something.
Very good, very good. Now let's talk about the issue of modern day slavery, because a lot of people think, here in the States, slavery was done pretty much after the Civil War, but there's different types of slavery. There's sex slavery, there's labor slavery. So let's talk about a few of these areas and, what do you think is real prevalent to people here in the States? What type of slavery?
Well, most people don't know that in the States, you have between 200 to 300,000 Americans enslaved inside the United States right now, today. So most people don't even know that there are this many young girls that are trafficked even within the U.S., that there's 17,500 non-Americans that are trafficked into the U.S. every year. So most people don't know that there's more slaves in the United States than live in Amarillo, Texas right now.
Wow.
That this is what's going on today in this country. Most people don't know that the average age of entry into the sex trafficking industry is 12 years old. Most people don't know that more people are purchased, that 3 out of 4 victims of sex trafficking are purchased online. So these are kind of things that most people don't know, that married men are the biggest buyers of that they buy more trafficked people than non-married men.
Really? Wow,
So,
I didn't know that.
yeah, so the thing is, most people don't know that less than 1% of trafficking victims are ever identified. So 99% of victims of trafficking are never rescued. So and even when they are identified, it is less than a 10% conviction ratio. So when they even find somebody that is a traffic victim, the actual trafficking recourse is very, very low.
So we are talking about, or you mentioned that a lot of these young girls are getting very young. There's also men as well, young boys.
Yes, absolutely.
But from your research and the research of your group, about how do people get into this? Are they kidnapped? Are they runaways? What happens?
Well, there's a mixture. I mean, when we do talk about trafficking, this is again back to the business side of it. It's supply and demand. So what is it that people are demanding, and what is it that people are supplying? Trafficking in and of itself preys on vulnerability and poverty in a lot of cases, but a lot of times too, just because people are unaware. And you get sets of people that just think, oh, free trip to Miami, and so they go. But as soon as somebody gets put into that situation, they are along for the ride and they don't ever get out. So because of the illegal organ trade, for example, illegal adoption, other countries with issues like child soldiers, a lot of times it is just that connection between vulnerability, poverty. But when it preys on the weakest in our societies. So human trafficking in and of itself will always prey on those that are the most vulnerable in our societies. And that's why, Jakari, part of what it takes is it's going to take those that are the strongest in our societies and the real men out there, like like guys like you and Alex and the rest to also stand up and say, okay, this is the situation. This is what needs to be done, and we are going to take it to the forefront. So I'll give you something that we put out too. We put out a letter to all of the presidential candidates, everybody running right now, both sides of the aisle. Doesn't matter because this is not a political issue.
Mhm.
And we said, for anybody running for 2016, 2020, what's your plan? We invited them all to Austin for this, what's coming up this next week. They don't have to buy an audience. We have 1,600 people showing up. Come on out. And so, but here's the thing: we want to know if you are going to be the president of the United States, then make this a political issue, because this is the moral issue of our day. Let's hear what your plan is. Let's hear what you are going to do in your presidential run during 2016, 2020 to end this issue that everybody in the world wants to see end. Anybody that is not part of the problem wants to see a solution. And the majority of people that are out there want to see a solution to this issue.
Great. Now,
So we would like to see that.
yes. Well, let's talk about that just briefly. Have you had any response from those candidates?
You know, it's been a bit disappointing with some of them because they've got their political machines going and they just do their rote responses. We have had some feedback. Ted Cruz's office, their scheduler was talking to us a little bit, but they said he had an appointment on Thursday, and so he wasn't able to come. A little bit back from Ben Carson. We may have some of the local people closer to the venue that'll join us.
Mm-hmm.
Not anybody that actually is up to speed on the issue of human trafficking by what they've been able to say. I mean, we're still waiting. We would love to see over this next going into 2016. We would love to see on both sides of the aisle, whoever wins, what are they going to do to be part of fulfilling that global pledge? Because if somebody's going to run for the office of President of the United States, you better tell us what it is that you are going to do in that position to actually solve this issue, because the moral mandate falls on the person that will be president of the US. And if they can't come forward to the plate and say what their plan is, they have no business running for office in the first place. This is one of the moral issues of our day right now. Human trafficking has grown globally almost 15 times. It's gone up 1,400% from 2007, over the last 8 years, 2007 to 2015, it has gone up 1,442%. If you go to IOM statistics, it was a $10.4 billion a year industry in 2007. Today, it is a $150 billion a year industry. So what is going to be done with this issue by the people that are in positions of power? And this is not something happening overseas. This is happening in the US right now, today. And that's the thing, that this is what's going on in our country as well as overseas. So people want the position, but they can't tell us what they're going to do with it.
Exactly. Now, there's a whole lot we could talk about this, and hoping to get out there and see you at the event tomorrow. But we'll end on this note, and then definitely give us the contact information for anybody who's interested in the initiative. But I want to ask you, I've seen several documentaries, exposés, Nightline, stuff like that, where they talk about people who are involved in the sex trade, sex workers, prostitutes. And it's always kind of this debate, do they choose this line of work? Are they forced in it? From your research, is it either or, is it both? Or what do you think about it?
That's kind of, again, one of the kind of the outlier issues that sometimes people will debate. I think I don't know how graphic I can be on air, and
I'll
how
say what
much
you
I
got
can
to say.
discuss this, but there was recently at the University of Nebraska, they had a lady she stood up and asked the same question to one of the lead speakers there, and he told the lady, well, you go and suck 1,000 dicks and come back after that and you tell me this is something but so as far as it's the issue of what trafficking is, how much people get used and how much people are abused in this specific thing. It is a meat grinder. The issue of prostitution in and of itself, what woman starts out her life thinking about that she wants to sell her body as her profession? And it is not the oldest profession, it is the oldest oppression in the world.
Mm.
So we've slipped a long way as humanity into the kind of things that we tolerate, the kind of things that we allow to come to the front and even debate these as issues. So what is looking at has continued to go forward in the darkness. And what we need to do is we need to have a strong debate, a strong realization, and people need to come to the forefront as part of the solution, even if it's in a small way. And they need to, from that point, they can. And if enough of us continue to move forward, we will see things change, and we will see an end to this modern day slavery.
Very good, very good. So tell us about the site, give out the information, and also what people need to know for the event tomorrow in Austin.
Sure. Just the site's human2020.com, HUMAN2020.com. You can just drop an email, info@human2020.com. That's good enough. The event tomorrow in Austin, it'll be over at Canopy, 916 Springdale Road. And yeah, just come on out. It's an open event. There's an exhibition there. There's different things that are going to be going on there. There'll be the Austrian acro community should be out there too. So there'll be people doing some great circusy type stuff. It's just going to be a lot of things going on. We're also going to be giving some information out to people tomorrow. I got one of these here. We got 1,000 of these that are going to go out, and I'll send you a PDF of this, Jakari. But it's just basically some information to help people understand the actual issue, and to actually understand some of the things that are going on, some of the stats that are out there. And this is also a closed population, or I should say hidden population. A lot of what people know about this issue is horrific narratives, but the actual numbers are tough to get at. And a lot of times the people that are working on this issue, they're working against very heavily funded and just systems that are in place that are at all different levels. So in order to build that awareness and build that dialogue, this is going to require each of us just taking that initial step, and like you've already done yourself, watching some documentaries, starting to understand a bit more about the issue. But the main thing too is that this is a supply and a demand issue, and in order to effectively work on this, we have to work on both the supply side and the demand side. One other thing that can be done on the demand side is support some legislative reform. We saw this in the Nordic laws where they criminalized buying. Once that was done, that drastically dropped demand in that place. Let's see that happen in the U.S. Let's see that happen throughout, because one of the things, the reasons that even criminal organizations are moving towards trafficking is because there's very little follow-up and very little prosecution. So we have to shift that to cut the demand.
All right, Govinda Tidball, definitely thank you for your time and look forward to seeing you at the event. Thanks so much, Jakari. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
All right.
Take care.
All right, bye.
Well, that's it for our show tonight. And if you